In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Dear friends and fellows in Pakistan and abroad, how does a person lose one's senses? Why does a person become mentally upset, mentally abnormal, mentally troubled, challenged? Why does a person fails to think properly, talk properly, make decision properly? Why does a person become mad? So did you ever pay attention to it? Definitely there are certain factors behind once a person is loses the track, once a person becomes abnormal. There are several factors behind it. Some of the factors are very strong, and the one which is very common is the one which is actually the negative thinking. Negative thinking mean all the troubles in my life is because of that particular person, because of that particular person, and because of that particular person. So once a person is found blaming others for all the time, this is something which is absolutely nonsense and wrong, and this makes a person lose their senses. This makes a person lose their senses. A person fails to act properly, a person fails to think properly, a person fails to uh, work properly, do properly. That is the trouble. That is which must, as far we people are concerned, we must be thinking positive, positive, positive. Although a little bit of practicability in it as well. I mean, it shouldn't be absolutely impracticable. It should be somewhat practicable, but overwhelming of it should be a positive one. Like I shall like to say that two-third of it should be a positive one, one-third of it should be a practical one. Obviously, we cannot ignore the practicability, but at the same time, if at all we are not positive enough, it actually means that we are going to remain under the mental stress for most of the time. As for this mental stress is concerned, it weakens our nerves, and once our nerves are weakening on a constant basis, once our nerves remain under the pressure for most of the time, it does mean that the time is not far away when our nerves will stop working, whenever we will nervously collapse. And once a person does collapse nervously, it does mean that the person is now mean it is very difficult to no, not impossible, not impossible, rather it is possible, although it takes quite a lot of effort and patience. But the rehabilitation is somewhat possible, although it's not that easy, because the person has collapsed, because and I mean, after remaining in the stress for most of the time for a longer period of time. So why by the person, by the way a person does become so much negative? Did you pay ever attention to it? In most of the cases, look upon the lives of the people who are living in a joint family system. This joint family system, actually, this is something which makes our thinking negative usually. Look upon the lives of the people who are living in a joint family system. You will come to know that most of those people are found thinking negatively, and most of the people are found under the stress for lot under the stress, and most of the people fail to work properly, and most of the people are found overspending on the one hand, not working properly, not working in full capacity on the other hand. Why? Because they are competing with each other, that he spends most of the money, he spends most of the money, he don't work properly, why I should not be spending enough amount of money, why I should be working so hard. So this is the kind of thinking which is generated usually by the joint family system. So joint family system is not even less than a curse. Gone are the days when the people used to live in the joint family system happily, but no more. Now there are only few exceptional cases only who are very happy as far their joint family system is concerned, but overwhelming majority of the people of this age they are unable to do that. If at all they are doing it under certain compulsions, let me tell you that their mental health will keep deteriorating with the passage of time, and they will become a very bad and a very worse person. In some of the cases a very dire situation has occurred in some of the cases. So I think that we need to think positively, we need to think constructively, but we need to have, once a person gets married, once a person is having the children, it is very important, very necessary for him to have a separate house and to have a separate business. Having the separate income, it actually means separate income mean that they will work very hard and they will avoid overspending, because the money they are earning is there, because the money they are saving is there. In the joint family system they think that whatever I earn is not mine, whatever I save is not mine, so why to work, why to earn more, and why to save more. So I think that it is very important that every married person, the person of the children, having the children, must have a separate business and must have a separate house. And these houses should not be close to the siblings, it should be slightly far, slightly away from that. It would be even more useful. Look upon the lives of those people who are living in a joint family system. They will be found under the great stress for most of the time. Their psychological health gets worse and worse, and a time may arrive when they gets totally collapsed, and they sometime do something very worst with each other. So to preempt that, I think as for the parents are concerned, it is the responsibility of the parents. So before getting too old, the parents should do this. They should separate the properties, and there is no need to earn many the properties, and they should separate the income and the business